Designers don't retire, they die. You know what I mean? So you're not in a profession. This is your passion. And it's not like, when you're 58 or 60, you just hang your boots and then, go to some countryside and then relax. No, that's not what des- designers do. They continue doing what they do best because it's a passion, and that's what really drives. What's the difference between a designer and an artist? An artist has a freewheeling mind, there are no barriers to it. It's your personal channel of expression, whatever medium you choose. But for a designer, he works to a brief. So when you're working with a company, there is a client. The client has a design requirement. And that comes as a brief, saying, hey, I want a campaign to be done for a new product I'm launching. So that's the parameter you will be working with. So that sets the guardrails around, your whole ideation process. And that's where the challenge is. Start working on your portfolios, even if it's in a small way, even if you're in the first year, because your portfolio is your gateway to, getting a good job. And also it's a great way to showcase your skills. And when you start working on a portfolio, naturally you will be looking at other portfolios. And that's one very good way of understanding and benchmarking yourself. Where do I stand in this market? Because you're looking at the other designers' work. And that's how you benchmark yourself. So if you're really serious about, really upgrading your skills, start working on your portfolio. Because that's the first baby step that you can take, to making sure that, you're upskilling yourself. Don't worry about the quality of work that goes in. Don't worry about who's going to see it. Don't be embarrassed about that. Designers should never be embarrassed. You should be proud of your work, whatever it is. And make sure you do it because, again, building a solid portfolio, it comes through practice. Nothing comes, overnight. It's not magic. Copywriters are the best prompt engineers simply because, especially the creative copywriters, because they have already developed the ability to articulate ideas. And I strongly recommend everybody in the design field, if you really want to experiment with AI, please, build your language proficiency and also the ability to articulate ideas. There are a lot of websites out there, and there are sites which will tell you, prompt generator. Please don't use prompt generators because prompt generators make the job too easy. And what happens is most of the time the outputs you get will not be accurate enough. So then what happens is, since you don't know how to prompt, you will not be able to control it. Then you give up. Every tool is, going through a constant, evolution. So it's, in many ways, it's like, survival of the fittest. So you will see a few tools dying in the process and some emerging as real top-notch tools. So you need to be very proactive, and it's a self-learning process, you have to put your time and effort into it. It's all about the blood, sweat, and tears that you put in, that will help you reap the benefits. What is AI? It's called augmented intelligence. Artificial intelligence is your larger umbrella, but what we are dealing with, what we call as generative AI, is called augmented intelligence. There's nothing artificial about it, simply because what is AI, the tool? It's nothing but bits and bytes of our knowledge. So it can only think as much as we put into it. We train these large language models, and it can only think. It can reason. Yes, it can. But again, there are limits to how much it can reason. So that's what I said. These tools are constantly evolving. I've worked in a printing press. I worked in a pre-press. I worked as a designer. So I've dabbled in tools. And that's where I got my grounding. So I have a solid understanding of these mediums, how much effort it takes to do and design. and what are the pain points, and understanding clients. See, most of us designers are not exposed to the client side, and I strongly recommend everyone to have client interactions as much as possible, because that's a completely different ball game. And to answer your question, that helped me. All the client servicing that I did over the years helped me to bridge that gap between, the design process as well as the delivery process, and that kept adapting based on how we upskill ourselves, the new tools that come in the market. So what happens is, with experience you will understand what works best for a project.